On today's edition of Cronkite Sports Live, it's back-to-back championships in the pool. Our swimming insider breaks it down.
The final Pac-12 season for ASU men's hoops is over, and it ended in a resounding thud. We'll break down how it went down in Las Vegas and the impending future of Bobby Hurley's squad.
ASU baseball has lost 6 of its last 8 games, and Willie Bloomquist thinks things might not be the same as they used to be. All this, so much more, coming up. Cronkite Sports Live. March is here, and it is everyone's favorite time of year. Hi, everybody. Welcome into a new edition of Cronkite Sports Live. Ben Paris, Max Cepeda joining you. And while Arizona State will not be busting brackets this season, they've been more than lucky as of late, winning some Pac-12 championships.
No, they absolutely have. And Ben, while it is an honor to be sitting in this chair for the very first time alongside yourself, I mean, Arizona State has really been living up to the name of Olympic U, especially in the pool.
Let's hop right into the show and into the pool with Sun Devil men's swim and dive, who are now the back-to-back Pac-12 champions, getting it done in record-breaking fashion. Of course, 3 NCAA and 11 school records were broken, while ASU swimmers combined to win 16 events, including 7 by the Frenchman Leon Marchand. We now welcome in our WCSN swimming insider, Casey McNulty, who tracked all of the actions for us last weekend at the Pac-12 championships. Casey, who were the standouts for ASU as they won back-to-back titles?
So there were 4 huge standouts of the Pac-12 championships, starting off with freshman Ilya Karun. He made his presence known during his first and only Pac-12 meet. He managed to win the 100 fly and 200 fly, and he was instrumental to multiple ASU relay wins. Next, we have sophomore Hubert Koss, who entered the meet with a lot more confidence and poise than last year. He managed to win the 100 back, 200 back, and 200 IM for a total of 3 individual Pac-12 titles. Then we have Zalin Sargani. He managed to round out the Devils in the distance events with a win in the mile freestyle and a runner-up finish in the 500 next to only Leon Marchand. Speaking of Marchand, he managed to win the 500 freestyle, an event he's only swam once before this meet. He also defended his titles in the 400 IM and 200 breaststroke.
Sounds like a pretty dominant performance from the Sun Devils, but last year they won the Pac-12 championship over Cal, came up short against the Golden Bears at the national championship. What are they going to have to do this time around for Bob Bowman and company to win their first ever national championship?
Yeah, so a total of 18 swimmers are going down to NCAAs to represent ASU at the championships. And the Devils are definitely the favorites to win the title this year, even more so than last year. And that's mainly due to the team's depth. They are seeded first in 12 of the 18 events that are contested at the championships. And they're going to be looking to keep their momentum from the Pac-12s going into NCAAs, so swimming fans can expect to see big event wins from the Devils and maybe multiple NCAA records and pool records fall at this meet.
That's what they're hoping for. In 2024, after the NCAA championship, still a huge year in the swimming world with the Paris Olympics coming up. And we expect around here for everybody to know Leon Marchand's name. If they don't already, what can we expect from him at the NCAA championships?
Yeah, so it is a huge year for Leon Marchand as the Olympics are in his home country of France. And he has talked a lot about the Olympics being the peak of his career. We saw him swim the 500 free at Pac-12s, and he's actually opting to swim that event instead of the 200 IM at NCAAs. At Pac-12s, he wasn't even rested and not in his top physical performance. So it makes you think of what the Frenchman is going to be capable of when he is in that top performance zone and able to perform his best in the water at NCAAs. Needless to say, he is going to be a huge part for the Devils' quest for their first NCAA championship title.
So Leon's able to get it done. It sounds like he's not even trying as they try to get that first ever national championship. Casey, thank you very much for joining us.
From the pool to the mat, we now head out to Corvallis for the Pac-12 Wrestling Championships. Starting at Class 125, Richard Figueroa gets out of the escape and would go on to win by riding time to start the Sun Devils off strong in the finals. Now at 141 pounds, Jesse Vasquez hits a deep high crotch, turns the corner on Cleveland Belton, and secures the go-ahead third period takedown, which would prove to be enough for the victory. But things got a little bit chippy here, Ben. These two go way back so far that they went to the same middle school together, and Belton originally started his career at ASU. But still, Vasquez strides off with a little bit of pride as he, of course, is able to secure his first Pac-12 conference title. Moving on to 149, Kyle Parco taking on Corvallis native Chance Lamer in his hometown. Parco returns him to the ground and goes straight into the tilt for 4 near fall points en route to his third Pac-12 title of his career. Lamer, the Cal Poly native, no surprise here with the victory by Parco. Now moving on to 152nd, Corey Teamer in a top 10 clash with Daniel Cardenas hits a nice reshot and go behind for the 3-point takedown. But just to put a cherry on top of his Pac-12 career, Teamer with the flyover reversal and becomes the 6th ever 4-time Pac-12 champion in conference history. But Teamer wouldn't have to wait long to be joined by the 7th 4-timer as world-class heavyweight Colton Schultz takes Boone McDermott to his back and gets the first period pin to cement his and his team's legacy in the Conference of Champions as ASU wins its now 22nd Pac-12 championship, passing Oregon State for the most titles all time. It is also the 6th championship under head coach Zeke Jones, who spoke following the historic making win.
Yeah, I mean, any time we can come away with a conference championship, it means a lot, right? Certainly the last Pac-12 championship, to be able to say that we won not only the last one, we won the first one too, so it's a fitting way to leave the Pac-12 in its history.
I don't know about you, but ASU Wrestling is feeling 22, and it was the 22nd Pac-12 championship for the Arizona State Wrestling program, which makes it the winningest program at the school. To tell us more what was special about number 22, here's wrestling reporter Keenan Vaughn.
Thanks, guys. In their final year in the Pac-12, the Arizona State Wrestling team ended their tenure with a bang by winning the 2024 Conference Championship in Corvallis, Oregon this past Sunday. The Sun Devils were helped by a dominant start to the tournament, in which they took first place in 4 of the first 5 matches before heavyweight Colton Schultz removed any doubt in the final round and clinched the championship for ASU in just 2 minutes and 6 seconds. In total, Arizona State earned 137.5 team points, 23 more than second-place finisher Little Rock, with 5 Sun Devil wrestlers taking home first place and 9 managing at least a third-place finish. ASU's victory also included several notable individual achievements. 125-pound wrestler Richard Figueroa and 141-pound wrestler Jesse Vasquez earned their first career conference title. 149-pound wrestler and redshirt junior Kyle Parco won his 3rd straight conference title. And both 157-pound wrestler Corey Teamer and heavyweight Colton Schultz notched their 4th career Pac-12 title, a feat only 5 wrestlers in program history had accomplished before them.
Yeah, I mean, Corey and Colton came here because they had high goals. They want to be national champions, world Olympic champions, and I think they're on that path, right? They're on the path of being the best in the country, best in the world, and you know, they can prove that here in 2 weeks, and then certainly Colton can go do that this summer in Paris in the Olympic Games.
On the other hand, head coach Zeke Jones wins his 6th conference championship since he was hired in 2014, and now sits alone in 2nd place for most Pac-12 wrestling titles by a head coach behind Bobby Douglas. Jones also finds himself tied for 2nd all-time in most Pac-12 titles by an Arizona State coach across all sports. Battle isn't quite finished yet, however, as ASU's strong performance on Sunday allowed 7 wrestlers to qualify for the NCAA championships in Kansas City beginning next Thursday. Regardless, Arizona State's wrestling team gets to close out this chapter of their history and end a 61-year legacy of tremendous success on the mat as a member of the Pac-12 by winning their 24th conference title. Guys,
Time to go around the horn, ASU Olympic style, as Sun Devil men's track and field came out victorious in the 4x400 relay at the NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships in Boston, clinching the men's first national title since 2022 and their first ever win in an indoor relay competition on the national stage. Justin Robinson, Caleb Simpson, Jaden Davis, and Gamali Felix set a new school record with their winning time of 3 minutes and 2.35 seconds. But meanwhile, back in the pool, the maroon and gold are being recognized for a different reason, as ASU women's water polo star senior Lutza Pretovari was named a finalist for the Coutinho Award Thursday morning, in which she is a favorite to be named the nation's best player in both women's and men's collegiate water polo. Our trip around the horn doesn't stop there. To break down the status of Sun Devil men's golf, here's our two golf experts, Aiden O'Neill and Sam Goodman.
ASU golf has spent most of the season at the top of both the national rankings and in tournament finishes. But in Las Vegas, however, at the Southern Highland Collegiate, everything went wrong and they laid a complete dud, finishing second to last and 18 over.
Absolutely, Aiden. But as many great teams do, they were able to turn it around and were primed to bounce back in Cabo.
It was a tough event for us, 14th place at the Southern Highlands Collegiate. Actually the worst tournament I've ever had as a coach, and worst tournament any of these guys have ever had as a player on this team.
Arizona State in Cabo dominated, winning by 9 strokes overall, with 3 of their golfers finishing in the top 10.
And that's exactly right. But with Arizona State competing with some of the best teams in the nation, this isn't just a great get-back win, but it projects extremely well for the national tournament.
I've seen the great players over the years always do that. They use any loss as material to get better, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to use this to get better.
With Michael Miasith, Luke Potter, and Connor Williams all shining in Cabo, this showcased the young core of the Sun Devils and bodes well for the future depth of this program.
And you cannot forget about the 2 guys who have put the program on their back as of late, Preston Summerhays and Wenyeding, leading tournaments, winning, staying in the top 5, and projecting the Sun Devils to be a national title contender.
ASU basketball season came to an end in the first round of the Pac-12 tournament. A 14-18 record in conference play, 10th in the conference. That is the second worst finish under Bobby Hurley, and things just got worse and worse and worse as the season went on. And if you hadn't heard, Jose Perez is now a professional basketball player. And if you were confused how he showed up to the Dominican Republic and played as a pro before ASU season was even over, don't worry, because his teammates are just as confused. The 26-year-old, who was on 5 different NCAA rosters in his career, left the program to pursue professional opportunities. That opportunity including shooting 3 for 11 from the field, shoot for 8 points, missing every three-pointer he took in his professional debut. Frankie Collins shared what it was like finding out Perez wouldn't take the floor against UCLA after his 25-point performance against USC.
I don't think there was much of a reaction. It's just, you got to try and win some games going into this tournament, and we play with the guys that are here.
Was it a surprise to you guys?
Yeah.
We now welcome in our Kevin Malater from Las Vegas at the Pac-12 tournament. He was the first to report Perez had left the program. Kevin, Arizona State played 2 games without Perez. How'd that affect the offense?
And a half a game on 43% shooting from the floor and 40.5% from three-point land, which would place him 9th in the Pac-12 in that category, should he still be on the team today. Not to mention, he was someone who Coach Hurley said was a guy they ran their offense through with their ability to play inside out, using him as a reliable post-up option. But I think what threw everyone off in the program was the timing of this and Perez's departure, and it truly showed. On Saturday against UCLA, the days the news became public, Arizona State looked discombobulated on offense. They managed to score just 47 points with a disappointing 16-point second half tally after the team led at halftime. And I got a chance to speak with head coach Bobby Hurley following that game about Perez's absence and what it means for guys like Frankie Collins, Jemiah Neal, and Adam Miller. And he said, we have to reinvent ourselves, and it's hard to do that in just one day. He also later added that we got a couple of days before the Pac-12 tournament to try to figure out a way to generate more offense. Despite having a couple of days at their disposal of prep, the results were still the same against Utah on Wednesday night. Being forced to play outside in saw the offense sputter and struggle all game long. Just 2 players reached double figures for the Sun Devils as it shot the ball at a 31% clip, which ties the team's record for lowest field goal percentage in a game this season. And look, there were other factors to ASU's downfall these final 2 games. Poor shooting at the free throw line and a failure to guard the perimeter and the 3-ball amongst the biggest 2. But Jose Perez's absence could be seen and felt the final 2 games of the season, and what was a disappointing close to Arizona State's time in the Pac-12. Ben?
Outside of that, we didn't do a good job. This is not acceptable for what my vision is for our basketball program. It's just, it's not, we're not in a good place right now, and it's a terrible way to end it, and got to get back to the drawing board.
A humiliating 90-57 loss to Utah will be the lasting memory of Arizona State basketball's Pac-12 era, where they failed to win a conference championship in 46 seasons. In a year when the players on the court never really seemed to click, what exactly went wrong? Ryan Myers has more.
ASU men's basketball season is now over. Its final record of 14-18 is the worst under head coach Bobby Hurley since he was hired back in 2015. Also marking the program's lowest winning percentage since 1989. After losing 3 straight games before Pac-12 play, a 9-day holiday break seemed to rejuvenate the squad. Starting Pac-12 play on fire, winning their first 4 games in convincing style and setting the tone for an impressive season ahead. However, following a 15-point loss to Washington, it sparked the longest losing skid of the season as the team dropped 7 of 8 games, only winning against Southern California. As ASU began to slide down the Pac-12 standings, head coach Bobby Hurley had intense words for the team, questioning their commitment to the squad and their future.
In some of our non-conference games is really just a circular movement all the way back to that game from how we were from a team dynamic standpoint, and then we made some adjustments and played the right way for several games, and now we come all the way back to that same trust, commitment, unity, breakdown, and playing the right way and playing together.
The year went from bad to worse when they traveled to Arizona and lost by 45 points, the largest margin of defeat in the rivalry's history. Now, fast forward to March. After the Sun Devils lost at Southern California, the team's second leading scorer, Jose Perez, left the squad to pursue a pro career in the Dominican Republic, while the rest of the team stayed back for their final regular season game against UCLA. With Perez absent, ASU's final challenge was the Pac-12 tournament, giving them a last chance to make the big dance. Well, they were once again embarrassed on the basketball court in a 90-57 loss to Utah, the largest margin in Pac-12 tournament history. ASU men's basketball just wrapped up its worst season since 1989, and with Big 12 basketball on next season's horizon, the future is looking bleak in Tempe. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Ryan Myers.
ASU hockey's 24-8-6 record will not be enough for them to make the NCAA tournament, as they couldn't produce the same strength of schedule as an independent this season that they will have next season when they join the NCHC. Joining us now is WCSN hockey reporter Gabby Chernoff. And Gabby, what are some of the factors from over the course of the season that will make the Sun Devils fail to reach the NCAA tournament in their final season as an independent program?
Yeah, so one big factor was the quality of their losses. Now, it's really hard for independents to come up with a strong, competitive schedule, so the margin for error against weaker opponents is much smaller. And to put it bluntly, they lost too many of those types of games. ASU's win percentage sat at just .631 in their last 19 games against those lower quality opponents. Notably, a loss to Augustana at home and a tie against Lindenwood, who finished the year with 12-6 total wins respectively. So when every other team in the country is pushing harder and earning those pairwise points to try and make the tournament, you simply cannot drop those games. Now, ASU did win 6 of their last 8, but at that point, it was too little, too late.
Too late kind of seemed to be a theme throughout the season. 14 of the 38 games they played went into overtime. What effect does letting such a high number of games go into the extra period have on their pairwise ranking, and in turn affect their tournament chances?
Yeah, so like you said, that's about a third of their season that was decided in overtime. Now, that may not sound like the worst thing in the world, but in college hockey, regulation wins are what boost your pairwise ranking so much more. ASU has played the most overtime contests out of any team currently in the top 20, in turn having them tied for 20th in those rankings, which just goes to show the impact overtime games have on a team's ability to earn points in that pairwise. If they were consistently winning those games, it might be a little bit of a different story, but they rarely were. They won just 4 of those 14 overtime games, with 6 of them ending in a tie.
Next season, overtime in the NCHC will look a little bit different, but what else does ASU's move into the conference next year mean for their approach for a postseason bid, but also what will the new season look like overall as a whole?
Yeah, so it'll definitely look a little bit different. So with 6 tournament spots being automatic bids for teams that win their conference and 10 at-large bids, it really opens up ASU's chances because essentially they have a shot at one of 16 spots instead of one of 10. What that means is in-conference wins will, in the NCHC, bolster ASU's pairwise points much more than their current independent schedule allows. So there's the paradox. Playing in the NCHC will be tougher, and ASU's record may suffer at face value compared to past seasons, but that worse record may look better because of playing in the NCHC and give ASU a better chance at the tournament. So any excuses about the difficulty to make strides in the pairwise from years past are now invalid, as ASU enters a conference that Coach Powers has deemed the SEC of college hockey. They have to step up and prove that they can compete at that level, as this season they went just 3-2-2 against opponents in the NCHC. It's cliche, but at the end of the day, moving to this conference is go big or go home for ASU.
It's time for Greg Powers and company to put their money where their mouths are. Gabby, thank you.
From the ice to the diamond, ASU baseball returned to Phoenix Mooney for a matchup with the Lobos of New Mexico in a midweek till. And hey, look at that, Wyatt Halverson, his first career start, the true freshman local out of Scottsdale, 3 innings, 1 hit and 1 walk in his first ever collegiate start. But ASU's offense, on the other hand, benefiting on a lot of walks. Brandon Compton able to drive in a run early in the second to make it an ASU 1-0 lead. But back-to-back runs on wild pitches. Jacob Tobias at the plate for both of them. And just watching both Ryan Campos and Nick McLean stroll in as ASU would go up 3-0, and they still don't have a single hit on the board, as you're going to see just right here. Kind of an unorthodox score, but hey, that's what happens. Cole Carlone now on the mound in the 4th. Usually ASU's closer. It's a 3-1 game, and just like that, Reed Spinrath ties this game at 3 with 1 swing, and Cole Carlone's troubles continue from last weekend against Oregon. And really here, it would at least be avenged in some way, as Isaiah Jackson able to send one up to center field and be able to make plays that, well, he's just regularly making out there at Phoenix Muni. On to the 5th we go, as Sean Fitzpatrick, now in relief, able to give up a home run, this one to Devin Dixon, as this one gives New Mexico the 5-3 lead. But hey, ASU able to benefit on some defensive woes in the 7th. 5-4-3 double play kicked off by Steven Ondina. But hey, on to the 8th. Is ASU's offense able to come through? They can't. 2nd and 3rd runners on with 2 outs. Harris Williams grounds out, and that would get us to the 9th. But Kevin Carstetter, the final hope for the Sun Devils, swings and misses through strike 3, and that is it. 6-4. The Lobos take on the road win as ASU loses 3 in a row. Here's head coach Willie Bloomquist on the loss that he believed was embarrassing.
That's an embarrassing performance on our part. Just guys not sticking to what we preach, I guess, and what our offensive mindset should be. It's just not, it's not the way we're representing very poorly this program.
So that's the 2nd time this week we've heard the coach of a major sport at Arizona State say their program is not in the place where they need to be. And for Bloomquist, this might strike a different nerve. He represented the Maroon and Gold in the College World Series in 1998. And now, a quarter of a century later, he thinks attitude in the program may have changed. He played on a team that was built on grit, determination, and most of all, accountability.
There was a little fear that if he didn't show up ready to play, that's you just might get your fanny kicked by a teammate, right? And maybe those days are gone. I don't know. But I do know there was an edge that you better show up ready to play, or you might have a teammate grab your buddy's trophy, throw you down the tunnel.
As shown last Tuesday, Arizona State's incredibly young and inexperienced bullpen, which has been a question mark since the preseason, has experienced its fair share of roller coasters, to say the least. But even with the staff being the most consistent in Arlington against 2 top 10 teams, it seems that the return to Tempe for the guys in the pen has been anything but smooth. To break it all down in a special edition of By the Numbers, here's WCSN baseball reporter Andres Armenta.
At the heart of ASU's recent struggles is an all-too-familiar tale, and the numbers simply don't lie. Over the last 3 losses, the ASU bullpen has thrown out 13 arms, combining for 13 earned runs, all but 3 coming in the 5th inning or later. Additionally, a combined 12 walks has also added insult to injury, as 2 were thrown in bases-loaded situations. Now, a bullpen riddled with late-inning woes and self-inflicted wounds, but quite the opposite for JUCO transfer Ryan Schieffer, who's proven to be one of the only reliable arms that Bloomquist has in the pen. The righty is posting a team-best 1.42 ERA, along with a .7 whip. In the month of March alone, Schieffer has only allowed no runs, clinging 12 strikeouts through 9 2/3 pitched, and in the process has become the prototype bridge pitcher ASU needs on a regular basis and desperately wants more of as they head down to Tucson.
Thank you so much, Andres. And now as we move from Phoenix Mooney to Farrington, ASU coming off of losing 2 out of 3 to the number 8 Washington Huskies, taking on GCU in a midweek tilt as Audrey LeClaire able to lead things off in the bottom of the first with a single. They would load the bases in this bottom of the first inning as well. And Tanya Wendell, who's come through so much for the Sun Devils this season, a bases clearing 3 RBI double, and just like that, it's a 3-0 Sun Devil lead in the first. But it doesn't stop there. Alicia Denby in this same inning, able to drive in Wendell, and just like that, it's 4-0, and we're only through an inning of play. On to the second we go. Yaya Acuna with a 2 RBI double on her own, known for her speed, but now producing runs as she now makes it 6-0 Sun Devils in the second. And staying in the second we stay, as once again Tanya Wendell able to drive in Acuna. It is now 8-0 as she reaches 3 hits on the game. Ramsey Lopez, though, on the other side, able to drive one over the left center field wall as GCU is able to finally get on the board, but it's a 1, so a very hefty lead still for the Sun Devils. And Deborah Jones, look at her strikeout right here as she able to end the 6th inning with her 3rd punchy of the game. ASU goes on to win 8-2 in the midweek tilt. Here's head coach Megan Bartlett on what a quality Deb Jones brings to her veteran pitching staff.
And then, Kylie McGee continues to battle the form a little bit, or hoping by next week we'll have her back in action a little bit. But really, DJ's time to take him out of play. And that's a lot of responsibility, but interestingly enough, that's what she's used to, right? The main an ace at mid-major. So she's rolling, and she has some confidence and some ebb and some momentum, and just so proud of her.
It's been 14 years since Arizona State won a Pac-12 championship in football, baseball, or men's basketball, the revenue-generating sports. I think it's time to call it like it is, Olympic U. And is that something to be ashamed of? It's for you to decide. But the facts are facts. A revenue sport has not won a national championship since baseball did in 1981. The last conference championship, 2010. On the other hand, wrestling has won 22 conference championships, more than any other program at the university, while swimming just won back-to-back titles with future Olympic stars on the roster and are primed to bring ASU its first NCAA national championship since women golf did in 2017. And don't forget the triathlon dynasty. While not an NCAA sport, they've won 7 national championships in a row. The issue is not necessarily national championships and conference titles, but rather national relevance. When you think of ASU, you think of 2 things: parties and innovation. And if the current administration had a say, it would only be the second one. Did the Pac-12 media rights deal contribute to this? Perhaps. Yet the question truly lies with the university. The fans and the alumni in the Valley want athletic success and to wear the maroon and gold with pride. But does the university? Because nothing in recent memory points to a yes. But with a new athletic director supposedly on the way, there's the slightest bit of hope that the Sun Devils will ascend the national ranks again. And that's the way it is.
On to some top plays on this St. Patrick's CSL as Hubert Koss here at number 3, setting the NCAA record at the Pac-12 Championships in Seattle in the 200 backstroke with a time of 1:35.69 seconds. One of 4 conference titles won by him over the weekend.
Some more conference championships. Colton Schultz earns a pin over Oregon State's Boone McDermott, becoming the 7th all-time wrestler to win 4 Pac-12 championships. It's the heavyweight right there.
And at number 1, we go from conference titles to national titles. A 4x400 relay. Justin Robinson, Caleb Simpson, Jaden Davis, and Kamali Felix setting a new school record. 3 minutes and 2 seconds, 2.31 seconds to be exact. ASU able to secure a national title in men's indoor and track for the first time in 2 years. But you're absolutely right, Ben. I think a lot of us would agree that ASU Olympic sports have certainly been outpacing the major sports, but baseball and softball still on the diamond, still a lot of time left in their seasons to see if they can turn things around.
And that's pretty much going to wrap up our show. Before we do, Zippy, gotta ask, what's more fun, your 21st birthday yesterday or anchoring your first show?
I'd probably say both at the same time, having them on back-to-back days, but hey, wouldn't want to do it with anybody else.
Gonna wrap it up. We're gonna go grab our Shamrock Shakes. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Enjoy responsibly. We'll see you next week on Cronkite Sports Live.